Hi, my name is John with Cold Plunge Connection. In this video, I'm going to be talking about my experience using the Fire Cold Plunge version 3.0. This video is for anyone weighing the pros and cons of building versus buying a cold plunge, the DIY route versus done for you, and for anyone looking at buying a ready-made cold plunge and wondering if this product would be a good fit. First, a little bit about my background. I started my cold plunge journey with Wim Hof at a workshop in Austin, Texas in 2013. I built my first DIY cold plunge in 2017. In 2018, I started the very first Cold Plunge Builders Facebook community, which today has more than 56,000 people. In 2019, I authored the Ultimate Chest Freezer Cold Plunge DIY Guide. Since then, I've helped thousands of people build and troubleshoot cold plunges. In the DIY space, I have seen just about everything that can go wrong. That background really informs my perspective on any ready-made cold plunge. I've seen a lot come and go, and I have very high standards for what I choose to recommend. So when somebody asks me to review a cold plunge, there are three things that I look at. Number one is the people, number two, the equipment, and three, the company. I've got to feel good about all three, or I won't even consider reviewing the product, much less becoming an affiliate. I met Nick, the owner of Fire Cold Plunge, in 2013. When I toured his facility, I was impressed with their attention to detail, how they continued improving the product, and how they take care of their customers. They're a family-owned company based in the US with a 100% US-based back support and a nationwide network of technicians if something ever needs to be repaired. The innovations in the Fire Cold Plunge come from real-world feedback and from Nick's passion about cold plunging. Unlike a lot of companies out there just slapping a logo on a generic tub, Nick and his team have created something that stands head and shoulders above the competition. Now, a DIY chest freezer is still the least expensive way to start a cold plunge practice at home, but it requires time, attention to detail, and a willingness to troubleshoot. Most of the problems I see in the DIY space are going to fall into three categories. First is a lack of planning. Second, following bad advice. And third, poor quality work, usually from a lack of experience, rushing, or just making careless mistakes. The best practices that I teach have evolved over many years with feedback from thousands of people worldwide, and they keep evolving. Unfortunately, most free online advice that you're going to find on social media videos tend to result in leaks, rust, or a dead chest freezer. Worse, you end up with a cold plunge that's frustrating or unsafe to use. And that's one of the things that sets Fire Cold Plunge apart. It's backed by a warranty, it's supported by a company that's not a one-man operation. Most done-for-you chest freezer builds that I've seen are run by a solo builder, and many don't follow best practices. If something goes wrong, it can be tough to get help. And in a competitive market, many of these small operations make a big noise, but then disappear overnight. So let's dive in. First, full disclosure, Nick gave me this cold plunge to review. That said, everything that I share here is my own opinion based on my experience with Nick and his company since 2023, and 2 months of cold plunging with it here at home. Bottom line is I'm an affiliate and feel good about recommending Fire Cold Plunge. If you decide to buy one, you can visit firecoldplunge.com and use the affiliate code John Richter for a discount. On your site, you'll find a few options. Size-wise, there's medium and large. The only physical difference in size between the two is that the large is 10 inches longer. If you're 6 feet or taller or want more space for doing head dunks, I recommend the large, which is what I have here. If you're under 6 feet tall or don't plan to do head dunks, go with the medium. For the exterior finish, there's the sauna skin or the matte black, which is what I have. You can get a hard lid with hinges or the removable soft cover. Both versions come with an LED light, which adds a really cool vibe. With the soft lid, the LED is built into the top wall of the tub, and with the hard lid, it's built into the lid itself. I've got the hard lid, and it's one of my favorite features, and I'll tell you more about why in a bit. The Fire Cold Plunge comes with a full 1-year warranty with optional 3- and 5-year upgrades. If it's in your budget, I always recommend the extended warranty for any ready-made plunge. You can find all of the available accessories on their website. Now, I do recommend the maintenance package, which comes with a couple of replacement filters and a pre-filter to prevent sediment from getting into the tub when you fill it. It also includes their Ember Chill formula, which helps extend the time between water changes. You can choose between a standard delivery or white glove service. With white glove, two guys will unpack everything, put your cold plunge exactly where you want it, and haul off all the packing materials. The system itself sits on 6 casters, so it's really easy to move. For the large model, you'll need a space of about 3 feet by 6 feet to allow for good ventilation and equipment access. You can put it inside or outside. For my current situation, it worked best for me to have it inside. It's rated to work in a wider range of ambient temperatures than standard chest freezers or chillers. Standard is usually between 40 to 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Any hotter or colder than that, and you can run into problems or damage the equipment. The Fire Cold Plunge is good all the way down to minus 20 degrees Fahrenheit. And if it's that cold, you should let Mother Nature chill your water for you. And it's good up to 110 to 120 degrees. That said, the more you can protect any cold plunge equipment from the elements, the longer it's going to last. A garage or covered patio is best if it's outside. Everything was really easy to set up and filling it was fast. Be sure to flush the pre-filter for a few minutes so you don't get black carbon in your water. Ask me how I know that. The carbon is totally safe for you and the water, but it will turn your filters black and was actually a good test to show that the filters are doing their job. The printed owner's manual is clear and easy to follow. QR codes throughout are linked to helpful videos where Nick explains things in more detail if you need it. The entire setup is really well integrated. The exterior control box fits cleanly and contains everything you need. I appreciate that they upgraded the standard plastic vent grills to painted metal. Little touches like that give it a very clean, professional look. The system runs off a single power cord. Every piece of equipment is perfectly designed to work as a system. There is no guesswork and nothing is mismatched or looks out of place. Inside the control box, you'll find the ozone generator and timer and the equipment power strip. The included timer has mechanical pins to program 30-minute off and on cycles. They recommend running it from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. each day. Now, I replaced that timer with a smart plug that I can control with Alexa. I like to nerd out in that way. I want to take a moment to talk about Ozone. I've been using Ozone in cold plunges since 2017, and it really did keep me in the practice. Otherwise, maintenance just would have been too much for me. I'm a big fan of Ozone, but only when they are done right. And believe me, I've been through a lot of Ozone setups that didn't work. I've seen way many more that don't work. And 2 of the common problems I see with Ozone and DIY setups. First, the Ozone generator is either underpowered or overpowered. If it's underpowered, like with a unit meant for kitchen use, your water is not going to stay clean for very long. On top of that, they can break down and they need to be replaced sooner than later. If it's overpowered, like Ozone generators meant for large hot tubs or swimming pools, it can damage your equipment and create unhealthy levels of ozone, which aren't safe. The ozone generator in the Fire Cold Plunge is perfectly sized for the volume of water. The second problem that I see is when the tub isn't sealed correctly, ozone can escape. And again, it's not healthy to breathe ozone. I use a high quality meter to test. First, ozone is actually being produced, and second, no ozone is leaking from the unit while it's running. Still, I recommend shutting off the ozone at least an hour before plunging. If you ever open the lid and smell ozone, give it a few minutes to air out. The power cord for the pump, the temperature sensor wire, and the tubing for the ozone generator are all neatly routed into the tub through a cable sleeve, which gives it a very clean, professional look and helps with the insulation. In the DIY space, these pass-throughs are normally put through the lid. That's the safest place to go. However, a lot of people don't like the way that looks. You can cut or drill through the trim or the wall, but doing so carries a very high risk, a very real risk of damaging or killing your chest freezer if you hit a refrigerant line. The system has a GFCI, surge protector, and a single master power switch. All of the plugs are grounded and UL certified. The temperature controller, it's easy to program. You just set your target temperature and your variance, and it'll take care of the rest. It also keeps your settings if the power goes out. I really like that the display is backlit and stays on so I can see my current water temperature at a glance. One of the biggest differences between a compressor-based system like this one and a chiller-based system is how cold they can get the water and keep it there. Many compressors on the market are only rated down to 40 or maybe down to 36 degrees, but here's what I've learned. What most chillers are rated for and how they actually perform in the real world can be very different. Especially the flood of inexpensive, low-quality chillers in the market right now. $400 to $600 for a chiller is enticing, I get it, but they can struggle to get your water cold enough. They're not very well built, and when you get your first electric bill, you're going to be shocked. For a quick price comparison, high quality chillers start at $1,000 and go up from there and can cost anywhere from $30 to $80 a month to run. The Fire Cold Plunge can get down to 33 degrees Fahrenheit easily without the water freezing over and will cost much less to run. I'll go into more details on that in a few minutes. The built-in pump is matched perfectly to the system. It keeps the water temperature even, supports the ozone and filters to do their thing to keep the water clean. It's held in place inside the tub with a magic bracket that keeps it out of the way. One of the most important topics to me about cold plunging is safety. First, before you get in, just turn off the master power switch on the side. You don't have to unplug the unit unless you want to. Now, if you have followed my work, you know that I always recommend physically unplugging all of the equipment in a DIY chest freezer cold plunge before you get in. And there is a good reason for that. In the DIY space, there are so many variables and unknowns with the equipment, the design, the materials. But with the Fire Cold Plunge, I had a long conversation with Nick about this. Because of the way the Fire Cold Plunge is designed and built, it's nearly impossible for water to get into the electronics of the chest freezer. This design has been approved by their engineering team, and even their lawyer signed off. And if you know anything about engineers or lawyers, that says a lot. If you have a DIY system, I still recommend that you always unplug everything. And I can tell you that the Fire Cold Plunge is the only chest freezer-based cold plunge that I trust to safely power down with just the switch. One of my favorite things about the Fire Cold Plunge is the lid. Now, standard chest freezer lids don't open fully. The lid on my Frigidaire chest freezer hangs over the tub by about 8 inches. That can make the experience feel cramped and, for some people, claustrophobic. The Fire Cold Plunge uses upgraded hinges so that the bottom of the lid moves beyond the opening of the tub, so the lid doesn't hang over you when you're in the water. It's also out of the way when you're getting in and out. For added safety and peace of mind, there's also a lid stay that keeps the lid open. If you want a fully open experience, order the soft lid. Now, I didn't test that option, but I've seen pictures and videos from other customers, and it's easy and quick to remove. Just know that the soft cover lids don't seal as tightly as the hard lid. The top edge of the tub is about 30 inches tall. I'm 5'10" and found it easy to get in and out. Now, shorter folks might want a step, and a matching step is one option that I'd love to see offered in the future. In the DIY space, sealing and lining your chest freezer is necessary to prevent water damage, and it can be one of the most complicated, time-consuming, and expensive steps of the DIY process. That's why my absolute favorite thing about the Fire Cold Plunge is the liner. It's actually made from an FDA-certified, medical-grade, non-toxic material. They use a proprietary welding process that joins the seams at the molecular level. It's fully sealed all the way around. This is why they can offer a lifetime no-leak guarantee. You'll never need to worry about it leaking, flaking, or peeling off. The liner is inserted into the tub. It's fully supported so it feels solid getting in and out. Now the back has an ergonomic slope which is easy to lean into. I also found it pretty easy to sit upright. But I like to get the back of my head underwater for additional benefits. The liner material feels comfortable and smooth without being slippery or slick. This is very different from the rough texture of professionally applied truck bed liners. The other thing that I like about the liner is that there's actually an angled footrest on the opposite side. My feet felt more supported than when they were sitting flat on the floor or up against the wall. But you've got options, and you can find what feels best for you. The inside dimensions are roughly 53 inches long, 20 inches wide, and 25 inches deep. So you've got plenty of room to get your shoulders under the water. If you're into head dunks, I found it easy to slide down face up, as well as kneel and go face down. Two other things to mention about the liner. First, because of its strength and durability, you don't need to place anything under the chest freezer for support. In the DIY world, that's a critical step and one that most people either miss or don't get right. Second, one thing people wonder about any kind of liner is whether or not it will interfere with the chest freezer's ability to cool the water. That's definitely not an issue here. Now, if you've made it this far into the video, you are my kind of cold plunger. So let's talk about maintenance and everyday use. If your cold plunge gets light use, I recommend cleaning the filters about every 1 to 2 weeks. They're easy to remove and you don't need any tools. Just pull the pump assembly out of the bracket, unsnap the filter compartments, and pull out the filters. The filters can be cleaned with a mild soap and hot water. About once a month, you can soak them in hydrogen peroxide or a 1 part bleach to 10 parts water solution. Be sure to completely rinse them off so you don't get any residual bleach in your water before you put them back. Putting the filters back in is also really easy. Just put them into the compartments, snap them into place, and put the assembly back into the bracket. If you use the cold plunge every day, or if you have more than one person using it, I recommend cleaning the filters once a week. They'll last about 3 months before they need to be replaced. With the built-in ozone generator and staying on top of cleaning the filters, you should be able to keep your water clean for about 2 months. If you like to keep your water clean for 3 months, you can add the Ember Chill products. Just pour the entire bottle of Ember into the water each time you fill it and put a couple of caps of the Chill product in once a week. You don't need to do any testing, balancing, or add any other products. After each use, skim the surface with the included net and wipe up any drops or splashes of water before you close the lid. If any large debris ends up on the floor of the tub, use the included vacuum to remove it. You just squeeze the bulb to activate the vacuum. There's no battery, power, or charging needed. Now, every 3 months when you drain the tub, you can use a mild detergent or a general purpose cleaner to wipe everything down. Just be sure to rinse it with a damp rag before you refill. Now, this is a good time to point out two of the key differences between compressor-based systems like the Fire Cold Plunge and chiller-based setups. I'm going to do a more in-depth video on this topic in the future, so stay tuned. I mentioned earlier that a compressor-based system like the Fire Cold Plunge can get the water down to 33 degrees Fahrenheit. So if you want water that's guaranteed to stay in that 33 range or in the 40-degree range or below, the Fire Cold Plunge can make that happen. The next thing is that there's no external plumbing. One of the biggest issues with external plumbing is the condensation. You will not find a drop of condensation from the Fire Cold Plunge. I was totally fine having it inside, knowing there would be no issues with water collecting on the floor. Two common questions I get about all cold plunge equipment are: one, how loud is it? And two, how much electricity does it take to run and keep the water cold? Now, each person can have a very different idea about how loud a piece of equipment is. What one person finds relaxing, another person can find distracting. That's why I use a decibel meter to get an objective measure of the loudness. To be consistent, I take the reading standing about 3 feet away. As a baseline, the ambient noise level in my home is about 40 decibels, which is pretty quiet. Now with the Fire Cold Plunge, when only the pump is running, it's about 48 decibels, which is about the same as the refrigerator in my kitchen. When the compressor kicks in, it maxes out at 60. One great thing that I can also say about the sound of the system is that there's no vibrating, rattling, or squeaky high-pitched noises, which can be found in systems that are not well built. And those kind of noises most people find pretty annoying. Here's a few items for sound reference. I measured the Penguin 3/4 horsepower cold therapy chiller at 65 decibels. Other chillers can be as loud as 75 or 80 decibels. As for the cost to run, in the last few days of plunging before doing this review, I had my water temperature set at 40 degrees with a 2-degree variance. I keep my AC inside at 72, which is kind of a sweet spot for any cold plunge. I use a kilowatt meter to measure the runtime and the energy use. With 223 hours clocked, that's about 9 days, it used about 13 kilowatt hours of energy. With an average price of energy in Central Texas of 14 cents per kilowatt hour, it cost a total of $1.83 to run. That's about 20 cents a day or about $6 a month. If you have yours outside or use it more often, it's going to be more, but overall, the cost to run compared to a chiller-based setup is going to be significantly less. So let's talk about the investment to get into a ready-made cold plunge. Cheap, low-quality systems can start around $1,500. The reviews are really mixed, but the nightmare stories keep coming in about these units. These are the generic ones with the only essential difference being the label, the company logo. The people and companies selling them go in and out of business and can really only compete on the cheapest price. There's no difference in what's under the hood. These systems will be expensive to run. They tend to break down within a year or two, if not even a few months, and good luck getting warranty service. Premium setups start at around $5,000 and they can go up to as much as $35,000. The Morozco Forge is a well-known compressor-based system. It's custom built, and the new ones start at just under 10 grand. The only real difference will be the aesthetics and maybe a larger tub. Quality chiller-based systems can start around $3,000 and they can go up from there. The lifespan of a cold plunge can vary greatly based on the equipment, how much it's used, and how well it's taken care of. Many low quality chillers are going to break down after a few months. Some will last 1 to 2 years. On average, a high quality chiller should last anywhere between 3 to 6 years. A good quality compressor like the one used in the Fire Cold Plunge has an expected lifespan of over 10 years. So here's the bottom line. The Fire Cold Plunge is thoughtfully engineered, it's easy to use, low maintenance, and energy efficient. It hits 33 degrees Fahrenheit with no freezing, it's quiet, it's clean, no condensation issues, and it's built to last. I'm happy to answer any questions, and you can put those in the comments below. If you're ready to order, visit firecoldplunge.com and use the code John Richter for a discount. You'll find the link in that code in the description below. If you found this review to be helpful, please do like and subscribe, and happy cold plunging.